Hi there. So this is the first of a new video series that I am doing. I'm calling it the lesson series. I want to be very organized and call it lesson 1, lesson 2, but I know I'm going to forget steps along the way, so I'm not numbering them. I'm just going to kind of go progressively, and if I need to backtrack, I will. But today, I am titling this lesson The Foundation. When you start to play any instrument, the relationship between you and the instrument is key. And there may be an emotional connection in terms of relationship, but that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to you holding the instrument, or you sitting at the instrument. In this case, it's holding because it's the guitar. So to get a good foundation requires a little bit of knowledge. So first, knowledge of the guitar. I'm not going to go over every single part because every single part isn't important right at the beginning, right? You'll learn parts as you need to along the way. The main parts right now in the beginning that's important is the body of the guitar and the sound hole, which is where the sound is made, the fretboard, which is where your other hand is starting to control the notes. And then you have the headstock and tuning pegs, which is also important for getting your guitar in tune. But right at the very beginning, I hate to say that tuning is probably, I don't want to say it's less important, but in the beginning you probably won't know if the strings are a little out of tune. So I will do a whole series on tuning. Today is not that day. So you have the important parts now. Holding the guitar and how it sits on your body is going to be key. I am using a Taylor Mini. I happen to be a compact female, but plenty men play Taylor Minis too. So just because you're a smaller individual doesn't necessarily mean you need a small guitar. I can play a full-size dreadnought too, and that's fine. What is important is how you're holding it on your body. So if you look right now, I've got the headstock right about shoulder length, okay? Shoulder height, I should say. I've seen rock videos where people are really cool and they're holding it in other ways, but that's probably where you want it. Some folks like to keep the neck up a little higher, so that they can get a higher grasp on the fretboard. That's okay too. I also have seen people who like to go as far as, down here, and they're still able to manage. The idea is the lower you hold the neck, the shorter your fingers get. The higher you bring it up, the longer they get, because in essence you're able to extend your hand a little further forward. Speaking of your hand, you want a rounded position, right? What you don't want is this, okay? You don't want your wrist flying all the way forward. You want your wrist back, okay? And your hand almost like a duckbill, if you will. When you turn it around, and there it comes right around the fretboard, okay? And literally lesson number 1 is how to get your fingers on the fretboard, right? So what you want to do, the fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of makes it easy for us guitar players. So literally the first thing is trying to get your first finger on the fret. You want to put it just to the left or to the back of this bar, right? Just behind it. And you want to press. In the beginning, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's not necessarily pleasant. Your fingertips, ugh, they're not going to be happy initially, but they're going to toughen up. You don't want, the other last thing, you don't want this piece of your hand touching the back of the fretboard, okay? That's called heel, and you don't want that. So if this is what your hand is looking like, if you've kind of got that baseball bat thing going on, you're doing it wrong. And your fingers will feel it. It will not be comfortable. So you want to, again, bring that wrist down and sort of round out those fingers. Try to keep the thumb behind the second finger if you can. And literally the first exercise is just those two notes. If they come out great and your fingers kind of have a propensity for dexterity, keep it going. So that's lesson number 1. That's the foundation. And interestingly enough, I didn't even talk about what was going on with the right hand, right? I didn't happen to use a pick today, but I typically do. And I'm playing obviously over the sound hole. I think the next chapter is going to be just a simple finger exercise. So work on your foundation. And I find for most people, they're going to be working on the foundation of how they're holding the guitar for a good month in the beginning. And then it becomes a process, right? Some folks fall into maybe some habits. And if you're watching this video right now and you're somebody who's been playing for 20 years and I hold the guitar down here, that's okay. That's okay. Plenty of people learn with a different foundation, right? So the point here is, if you're a new beginner, create a good foundation. If you're an experienced player, what is your foundation, and is it working best for you to get the best sound and to be able to use your instrument the best you can for yourself? So that's the end of this video, the foundation. Yeah, that's the end of our first lesson series. So I'll see you again for the next series. Stay safe.